If you clicked on this video, then you're probably interested in disassembling and cleaning your number 10 circuit back. Recently I had some noticeable banding, and at one point my camera just flat out didn't want to spin or work. So I decided to take some time, disassemble, and clean up my number 10 circuit back. So in this video I'll show you exactly what I did to get mine functioning again. Let's get into the tools and materials you'll need. An adjustable wrench, flat blade screwdriver, paper towels, a used toothbrush, acetone, tri-flow oil, a blunt tip syringe, optionally some graphite, and a way to keep track of all your parts and tiny screws. First off, let's open the back of the camera. Next, you will need to disengage the clutch by loosening the knurled nut on top of the camera. Rotate the drum. At the same time, run the motor till the slot on the drum and grub screw on the spring barrel lines up just right. As you can see, mine was loose, which was likely the main cause of the backlash and banding that was ruining my photos. We will use a flat blade or flat head screwdriver, along with a long pair of tweezers to remove the screw. Take a moment to inspect your grub screw for any signs of damage or wear. You will likely need to have one made by a clock or watchmaker if the screw is too worn down. Mine seems fine. I will be reusing it for now. I'm a little concerned about how bad the slot is for the driver, but I'm not patient and I don't wish to wait for a replacement. Next, I removed the knurled nut and clutch assembly to replace the spring with one that won't catch. This isn't completely necessary unless you also have a bad spring. You can just pull up on the bar a few inches to remove the rod from the motor. A word of warning before continuing the disassembly. Please run the motor to exhaust all stored energy from the spring. Pause the video and do so now. Next, let's make some room by pushing the film width setting lever to the lowest setting. In this case, the 6-inch film setting. Next, we need to remove the pin for the shutter switch. If yours is original, then your pin won't be in this location. Mine was drilled out by somebody prior to me owning this camera. I'm using a set of flush cutters to pry up the pin. On a side note, your number 10 will likely have a cover over the ball governor. Mine seems to be lost to the annals of time. From what I can tell, it takes 2 screws to remove. So if you don't see your ball governor exposed, remove the cover after removing the pin. It may not be 100% necessary, but if it looks like it will interfere, then remove it. Just remember to reinstall it at some point. Next, we will focus on the side of the camera where you adjust the speed. The speed dial has 3 screws. You only need to remove 2 of them, but I went ahead and removed the center screw as well, even though it isn't necessary. One important step that I overlooked, but you shouldn't, is setting the speed to the half-second position. When you reinstall everything, this is the correct setting for the reconnecting of the speed adjustment axle. Additionally, the leather brake naturally sets at the bottom, which is the lowest setting position. While it's not mandatory, it's a good practice to observe the angle of the axle for proper reinstallation. Gently pry up on the arm if you did remove the center screw. Next, gently pry up on the plate. The axle may pull out with the plate If not, carefully remove both. If that isn't an indication of filth to come, I don't know what is. Next, you need to remove the shutter camshaft bar. Begin by pressing the lever that connects to the camshaft for door operation. Carefully work to remove the bar. In this step, I'm using a flat blade to help push it out while holding the motor brake lever. Once you've separated the two halves of the camshaft, gently manipulate the cam past the lever. You will need to slightly rotate and lift the shutter shaft to clear it from the housing. Next, lay the camera film back with the slot facing upwards. This will give you a clear view of all 12 screws located on the bottom of the camera. I'm removing them in a clockwise rotation and numbering them. This probably isn't necessary, but I wanted to see if there was any difference in screw length, and as you might see soon, number 9 was a different screw from the rest. This could be necessary. This also could be a replacement screw, because one might have fallen out or disappeared. In any case, the other 11 screws were the same length and the same size. After all of that, it's time to lift up the housing off the motor plate assembly. Pay close attention to anything that catches or catching. Be mindful of the camera and its parts. You can't get replacements. With the housing clear, we get our first look at how dirty the motor is. Take note of the position for the camshaft that connects to the door. Then you can safely remove it. Next, let's remove the governor speed setting brake. Look at all that detritus. Years of crud buildup. While I was examining the gears, I found a dark spot that caught my attention. This was likely the other problem with my camera when it decided to stop rotating. Motor disassembly and cleaning. Starting off, we need to remove the square nuts on top of the motor spring barrel. A small adjustable wrench is what I use to remove the 3 square nuts. The top plate should be removable, but due to the loose grub screw I removed at the beginning, it has damaged the connecting point. This is fine, and I don't need to remove the plate. If I wanted to, I could file down the damage. If you didn't release all the energy from the motor before doing this next step, it might cause some damage or you could hurt yourself. I simply pulled up on the spring barrel to remove it from the plate. I'm just checking the ratcheting arm and will clean and oil later. This is telling. I should be able to move the gear train, but as you can see, it doesn't budge. Don't put a lot of pressure here so as to not damage the teeth. This is a clear sign that something is wrong or dirty. I'm trying to show the damage left from the loose grub screw. Warning, this next part could be dangerous. Unless you suspect something is wrong with the spring, I wouldn't recommend opening it. I'm checking mine for oil or any other residue. If you decide to do any maintenance to the spring, I won't be showing you how to do it in this video. I will say this, don't listen to clockmakers. Our camera spring should only have graphite inside of the barrel. No oil at all. If you decide to open, make sure before opening to place a mark on the lid and body for aligning later. To open the barrel, remove the 3 screws around the barrel, then pull it apart. Check that you have graphite only and that the arbor is still in place. In a future video, if someone needs help, I might pull the spring, but not today. Mine is clearly full of graphite, so there really is no need to do any maintenance on it this time. Don't spill out all the graphite. Try to leave it alone. Reassemble the barrel and set aside for now. Next, we will separate the upper and lower plates. There are 6 nuts in total going around the perimeter of the upper plate. Using your fingers only or something that won't mar or damage the plates. Going in a clockwise motion, slowly pry up a little at a time. Once you clear the 3 studs on the left, you can focus on guiding the upper plate off the 3 studs on the right. Now you can see how dirty it is. Clearly this was necessary. This gear is the one you can attach your external gears to. It has the threaded hole in the center of the bottom. It looks like there's a combination of corrosion and dried grease that has built up over the years. I noticed while turning this gear set, the smaller gear at the top left catches on something. Yep, looks like there's another piece of detritus embedded in one of the valleys between teeth. Don't tell my wife, but I took her acetone nail polish remover for this project. Using an old toothbrush and a Q-tip, I'll clean all the gears, both plates, and journal bearing surfaces. After cleaning, I'll use some paper towels to wipe the surfaces clear. Time to move on to the top plate and gears. On a clean paper towel, we begin our reassembly. All of the small journal bearing surfaces get a drop of oil, and the larger ones get 2 drops. The oil I prefer using is called Triflow. To apply the oil, I recommend using a blunt tip syringe. Reinstall the gears and give them a spin to distribute the oil. If you remember earlier in the video, I couldn't turn the larger gear, and now it turns easily. Take the smallest gear and install it on the upper plate, using a screwdriver to hold it in place as you install the top plate. Pull back on the motor brake lever to help seat the 2 plates. Check that everything is working by turning the largest gear with the brake lever pulled. If you can't get it moving, don't force it, just check for proper alignment and seating. Once you can move the motor, reinstall the 6 nuts. Place 2 drops of oil opposite one another on the spring barrel journal. Install the barrel and plate. Carefully align the stud holes. Rock the barrel back and forth till the barrel seats. Once again, pull the motor brake lever and turn the barrel to confirm proper installation. Reinstall the 3 square nuts. Once assembled, use your key to wind up the motor a few turns. Check if the motor runs properly. Let the barrel turn a complete revolution so that the grub screw hole is facing towards the rear of the motor assembly, or towards you in this orientation. Next, install the camshaft for the door. Make sure the cam is pointed upwards. I'm reusing footage here, but don't forget to install the brake for the ball governor. Slide the housing over the motor while guiding the drum shaft so that it fits on the spring barrel. Carefully lay the film back down and reinstall the motor assembly screws on the bottom. If any of the screws start spinning and don't tighten, make sure to repair the hole properly. In a future video, I will go into detail on how you can do this. Get subscribed so you don't miss out on this important information. Next, line up the drum and spring barrel to install the grub screw. After that, install the knurled nut and clutch assembly. Next, install the shutter shaft and pin. And finally, install the speed selector shaft and plate. With the brake installed at the lowest setting, make sure the shaft is pointed the right way. Test fit till it lines up with the half-second mark. Once the correct point has been found, install the shaft screw and both plate screws. Check that you have full range of motion. After that, go out and test your camera. And here we are. Here's the fruit of my labor. I'm completely happy with this image. There is some light banding going on, but I think that has to do with something else that's going on and not actually the camera. My main evidence for that is scrolling into the beginning of this image. At the beginning of this image, you can see there's no banding and there's constant high quality detail that I'm pulling out of a circuit camera, right? But if you look at where the banding starts to begin, you can kind of start to see some softness here in the support cables for the new bridge. You have good separation of two cables here, then a softness. Separation, a softness. And you can follow that down the image and start to pick out noticeable things. Like this part of the image is very soft. You get higher detail here, like so much so you can't really determine if there are bars here, but you can vaguely see that they're there. Here you can determine individual bars. You can see individual bricks here, right? Come over here to this sign and you can see that the O is completely softened out, but you can start to see more detail of the Y. If you track that up, it's very soft in the tree. And then you've got detail in the tree here. Same softness, split up of the cable. You can just go down and see the same thing happening. I think this is me hand loading all of my paper leaders with the film. I'm just guesstimating how it should go, and then I'm taping the film down to the paper leaders in the dark room. I'm not using a jig. I need to start work on making something for that, and I think this will take care of that. Otherwise, I'm getting lots of detail out of these negatives, more than I had been. You see I guess a mom and her daughter, a jogger up on the bridge. You can see a guy over here standing on top of the slide. See a kid going down the slide here. There's so much more detail that I'm getting out of this now. It looks like there's a guy over here waiting probably for them, or maybe he's coming out of the hurricane alley. Looks like there's somebody up here. There's somebody walking up the stairs here. There's a guy here. You know, I'm getting lots of detail out of this image. Quite a lot. But I think the blurry banding that I'm getting is from my rushed, poor quality choice of taping the film by hand to my paper leaders instead of actually using a jig. So overall, I'm happy with the repair. And next, I need to start work on building a jig to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Anyways, if you like the video, hit like. If you disliked it, hit dislike. Subscribe. Follow all the call to action stuff because I'm a YouTuber. And I'll see you in the next one.